Okay, so good morning to everyone. I told that I'll be taking up the same numerical which I solved in the last class to be solved graphically. Fine. So, graphical solution to the problem. Okay. So here I need to take the scale. So let 1 centimeter is equal to some 50 meters per second is what I'm going to do. Then what is given in the problem statement? So they have given the alpha 1 which is 21 degrees. So for graphical solution what is required I am looking at. Alpha 1 is equal to 20 degrees and they are given the diameter. They are given the diameter. So they are given the speed. So we have calculated the u. U is equal to pi dn by 60 which is 235.6 meters per second. I can round it off to 236. Okay. Next, I can, they are given the value of phi. So phi is equal to, it is u by v1, or I can find v1 is equal to u by phi, which is 235.6 divided by 0.45. If I try to calculate that, v1 was found to be around 179 meters per second. This is what we have done and we have calculated. Now, what is the thing? You know the value of u. So you take to the scale and the first thing is you draw the u. So u is equal to, if I take 1 centimeters as, 1 centimeter is 50 meters per second, then your 235 meters per second will be 4 point some change. Okay, you take u 2, 3, 4. I am going to take two divisions as 1 centimeter, 2, 3, 4, 4 point some change. Okay, let this be the my u. So 4 point. So 200 will be 4 centimeters. 225 will be 4.5. 236 means slightly a little bit above that. So if you have a scale, graph it, you will be able to do. Fine. Once you draw that u, so what is the value of alpha? So this is my u, which is 4 point maybe 5, 6 or 4.6 centimeters, whatever. Okay. 4.6 centimeters or 46 mm. Now you take your protractor and what is my alpha? Alpha is 20 degrees. So with alpha is equal to 20 degrees, and what is the value of V? V is equal to 179. So V1 is equal to 179 actually. Sorry, V1 is 523. 523. This is V1 is equal to is 523 or 524. 523.8. So VF1 was the low value. This is 523.8 meters per second, which is 524 meters per second. So I take the value of 524 divided by 50. So it will be 10 point, roughly around 10.5. So with 20 degrees, alpha is equal to 20 degrees from the protractor. So with the protractor with the 20 degrees, you draw 10.5 centimeters. Fine. This will be my V1 with alpha 1, which is 20 degrees, and V1 is equal to 10.5 centimeters, and U is 4.6 centimeters. Or you want to write in terms of millimeters, it is 46 mm, this is 105 millimeters. Now, what you have to do? Just join this line. Otherwise, what you do is you draw a 20-degree line. Otherwise, what you do? You have this U, fine. From U, you draw a 20-degree line. You draw a 20-degree line like this. Then take 10.5 centimeters and cut it. So both the way you'll end up with the same figure. Okay. So once you get that, you connect this particular point. That is, connect that end of the V1 to this one, and this is a vector diagram. It has to close. So what is this actually? This is my VR1, and that will be my VR1, and I can close it with, so draw a vertical line from here, fine, and an horizontal line from here. So this should be exactly perpendicular. This should be exactly perpendicular. This will give my VF1, and you measure from this point to this point. This should give your VW1. So you will get in terms of centimeters. Say this maybe VF1 will be 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have got 4 points some change. So roughly around, you may, if you draw it properly, roughly around 190, 180 centimeters you may get. So VF1 you may get 4 centimeters. So you 3.8 or 4 centimeters, you convert it to multiply by 50, you will get it. Then similarly VW1, you measure that. So VF1 is equal to so many centimeters, maybe something around 3.8 centimeters, multiply by 50, and VW1 maybe something around, you may get around something around 8, 9 centimeters you may get, somewhere around 9 point some change, 9.3 centimeters multiplied by 50, you will get that number. So this is about your inlet velocity triangle. So you close with this one. This is my beta 1. This is my beta 1, and this is my VW1. Okay. Now in this problem they are given VF1 and VF2. VF1 and VF2, there is a ratio. Okay. Your VR, so they are given that ratio CB is equal to, so 0.9. CB is equal to 0.9 they are given. That means whatever the VR1 you get, okay, whatever the VR1 you get actually, so you measure this VR1 is equal to maybe something around, you may get around 6 centimeters or something, multiply by 50, okay, 6 centimeters, so you may get around 300 or something. Now what is my VR2? VR2 is equal to 0.9 times of this VR1, what you are going to get, calculate it. Okay, so you may get around 280 or 290 meters per second. Okay, now you convert that to your corresponding scale. 280 means you may get around 5 point some change. So what is my VR? My VR, so VR1 or VR2, whatever it may be, so that will be a VR2. Now they are given clearly in this problem. Beta 2 is, what is beta 1 angle? Beta 1 angle I can measure. So beta 1 angle you measure, and you beta 1 measure, you measure using your protractor, and you may get around 32 or 33 degrees. What is your beta 2? Beta 2 is equal to your, sorry, beta 1 you may get around 35 or 36 degrees you may get. You have to measure it, 35 or 36 degrees. So 1 degree here and there is fine. So 35 minus 3 degrees, if you get, you may get 32 or 33 degrees. So what is my VR2? VR2 is equal to 280. You convert it to perpendicular scale with beta 2. So you draw a line with beta 2. So from here with beta 2 angle. You draw a line. You draw a line with beta 2. You take this VR2 and cut it. You take VR2, that's equal to 280. So that is 4 power 5 point some change, 5 point some change centimeters, and cut it. And so that is your point. Once you cut it, you got the point. Now you join that line. You join this particular line. Show that. Make it in a different way if you draw it properly. Okay. You go away somewhere here. Okay. Okay. This is my VR2. So that's at beta 2 degrees. This is your beta 2. You have to draw to the scale. Then join this to your this one to get your V2. You got your V2. Now close this with right. Close this. So this will be where VF2 you can measure, and this will be your VW2, and this will be your alpha 2. So each and everything you have to measure it. You have to measure the corresponding VF2 in centimeters, multiply by 50. Measure VW2 in terms of centimeters, multiply by 50. So VW2, so many centimeters. Okay, this is opposite direction. So VW2, so you may get roughly around maybe it's a very small number. So maybe in the graph sheet I shown it a little bit blown view. So you may get a very small number. It may be maybe 2 meters or 3 meters or 5 meters like that. It's a very small number, roughly around 4 or 5 meters per second. And your VF2. So VF2 will be should be somewhere around 3 centimeters. I may get somewhere around 3 centimeters means around 140 to 150 meters per second. Okay, so that means this will be the slope V2 will be more steeper. So I may have shown a little bit flatter, but the slope will be steeper. So you calculate all the things based on the scales. So you got beta 1, you got beta 2, you know the alpha 1, you can find alpha 2. Once you find alpha 1, so as usual, the practical graphically what you may get. So what is the delta VW1 you are saying? VW1 minus of minus VW2. That is you add up. Then axial force, you VF1 minus VF2 multiplied by mass flow rate. Then power mass flow rate into your VW1 minus of VW2 into U. You will get it. So all the quantities which we calculated using trigonometric principles can be calculated or can be done using your graphical method. So this is the graphical method of solving this problem. I'll write it here. So VW2 around 5 meters per second. Your EF2 around 142, 152. I want you people to calculate this. What I want is I want everyone to draw this on the graph sheet and post it. I want you people to post it. I will create in some kind of an assignment kind of a thing. I want you people to post it over there. Everyone has to do this at least by end of the day. The deadline is by end of the day. I want you people to draw this and post. Is that clear? Fine. Now, suppose the same problem is there for multi-stage under what we try to do actually. In that case, the multi-staging what we try to do actually will keep the same thing here. Just I'll show you what we are going to do. Multi-staging means we'll keep it as it is. Fine. And the second stage, this will be your U, which remains same. What will happen to your triangles? These triangles will get reduced. Your triangles will get reduced like this. Triangles will become smaller and smaller. And this is the multi-stage problem. So this is for the first stage. This may be for the first stage. I may be going for a second stage. Just I'm giving a clue how the second stage, if I have a second stage turbine, how the velocity, if I want to solve the problem using velocity triangle. So if I have taken 1 and 2 here, so this will be without any losses, this will be your corresponding V2. And so this will be your VR2. This will be your V3. This will be a sorry V2. This will be your VR3. See V3 and VR3. So for 1 to 2 is my first stage, 2 to 3 is my second stage, 3 to 4 is my third stage. Like that you will go for. So maximum you will go for 3 stage, or we have, if you have a 3 stage turbine, the first stage is called as a high pressure stage and the next 2 stages are called as a low stage. And if I have a 4 stage steam turbines, the first 2 stages are called as high pressure turbines, the next 2 stages are called as low pressure turbines. That's how the principle works. Okay. So this is about the problem. I'll take up one more problem and we'll use the steam tables. We'll use the steam tables. We'll try to solve it. Upload the two sheets. Give me some time. By tomorrow also I'll try to upload the tutorial I'm preparing. So numericals tutorial sheet is getting prepared. One more time. I'll come back. I'll come back to the screen. This is a problem statement. This is your problem statement. What is it actually? Say one more Solomon D-level turbine. Okay. What is it actually? A D-level turbine receives steam. D-level turbine receives steam at a pressure of 10 bar, which is dry. It is not dry actually, it is dry. A typo error. It is dry and saturated and exhausts at 1 bar. Fine. That means it enters at 10 bar and exits at 1 bar. There are 4 nozzles, each of which are inclined at 20 degrees to the plane of the wheel. Okay. So what I have is all the 4 nozzles are exactly placed at 90 degrees. That's the meaning of it. Okay. The average peripheral velocity of the blades are 450 meters per second. That is your U. Calculate the blade angles for the blade angles. So calculate the blade angles for the turbine. Actually, it's not for the blade angles for the turbine. Assume that the inlet and outlet angle. So that is beta 1 is equal to beta 2. So this happens only in case of an impulse turbine. If the area of the throat at the nozzle is around 0.24 meters square, 0.24, sorry, 30 centimeters square, this is very high. So 0.24 centimeters square, calculate the power developed by the turbine. Okay, this is the problem statement they given. So how to go out with the solution? So I can go with either analytical method or I can go with the graphical method. So which one you feel is comfortable? If I use analytical method, I have to go with the trigonometric principles. If I go with the graphical method, I may have to use the corresponding graph sheet. So usually going with a graphical method is bit time consuming until unless you put in sufficient amount of practice in drawing the velocity triangles graphically. Otherwise, don't attempt that. You go with the theoretical method, that is the use of the trigonometric principles. Okay. Let us write the data. What is given? Okay. So the inlet pressure, let me call it as P1. So given my P1 is equal to 10 bar and it is dry and saturated. So it is saturated pressure, then saturation temperature. What you can go to corresponding steam tables and you can write it. And if I go for the exit pressure, this is 1 bar, and the number of nozzles, let me take it as something around m, is equal to 4, and alpha 1 is equal to 20 degrees. The average peripheral velocity, I call it as u, which is 450 meters per second. So what you are supposed to find? So they are given the area also, area of the nozzle, which is 0.24 centimeter square, which is, and we are supposed to find beta 1 and beta 2. What are the angles? So expansion and all will be the same. So what you have to do, you can solve this problem using your Moliere chart or your steam turbine. So if steam tables. So if I go for a Moliere chart, what you're supposed to do? So this is your HS diagram. Okay, HS diagram, and you have to identify the pressure with a 10 bar and the pressure with 1 bar. So this is P1 is equal to 10 bar. This is P2 is equal to 1 bar. Okay. Now, so you may see that there's a dry. So there is a different color for that. So you can see that this is your saturation curve, and it at that particular point wherever it meets, that is your point 1, because the condition given in the numerical statement is it is dry and saturated. So from here, if I expand it isentropically, I may reach this particular point. I call it as 2 dash. Suppose if I go, if there is an actual expansion, the expansion is actual, then I will be following this point. I will be getting 2. So what they are given, they are not given anything. So we have to make an assumption. So the expansion takes place ideally. So the assumption what we are supposed to make for this problem is, if you want to go with an actual expansion, then I have to give the corresponding efficiency. So as they are not given anything, so I'll go with the assumption as, isentropic expansion, isentropic expansion. Okay, now what is there at the 10 bar? So if I go and draw an horizontal line for this on the Ammonia diagram, I will get H1, and if I draw an corresponding horizontal line, I'll get H2. So what is my enthalpy drop? So enthalpy drop is equal to, that is your delta H is equal to H1 minus H2. Fine. So if I try to find it, so H1 is and H2, if you find, I want if you so delta H, it's roughly we are getting around 380. Roughly you will be getting, I want to be able to cross check these numbers. So we will get delta H is found to be around 380 kilojoules per kg. So that is my delta H. So now I don't know the velocity. See, I need to solve this problem further. So beta 1 and beta 2, I need some velocities. I need the velocity. How can I find the velocity of the, so velocity of the jet, velocity of the jet, that is your steam. You can call it, rather than calling it a jet means water. So velocity of the steam. Fine, velocity of the steam. So this is your V1. So how can I find it actually? So you have to go with SFEE, SFEE. So what is it actually? Your V1 square by 2 is equal to, fine. So square root of your H1 minus H2. Square root of H1 minus H2. So with that, hope you remember we have derived the formula, which is V1 is equal to 44.72 for all the square root and all into square root of your delta H. So 44.72 into square root of 380. If I do that, I'll be getting my velocity around 876 meters per second. Okay. So they have given the U as 450 meters per second, which is already given in the problem. They are given U as 450 and alpha 1 is equal to 20. Okay. So when I have made an assumption, so with for an isentropic expansion, for no friction, for no friction condition, my VR1 is equal to VR2. Fine, VR1 is equal to VR2. So let's me draw the velocity triangle. I know my U. So U is the 450. This is my U, and V I got it as 876. So it's my U, and this is my V1. Fine. So this is alpha 1, which is 20. So I can join it to get my VR1. I can join and get my VR1. So I can calculate my VR1. How can I calculate my VR1? So either graphically you can do that, or so once you draw the triangle, I can calculate that one using my trigonometric principle. So I can, that also I can do. So you can close it. So this will be my V1, and this will be my VW1, and this is my VF1. I got it. So this is my beta 1. And here I made an assumption that VR1 is equal to VR2 and beta 1 is equal to beta 2. So I found my beta 1. So the blade angles is found directly. So you may get around 40 degrees. So graphically, if you go for graphically, you may get around 38, 39 degrees. And here if you do it theoretically, you may get around 39 or 40 degrees. 1 degree variation will be there. Now I know my beta 1 is equal to beta 2. So what I will do? I will take my beta 1 is equal to beta 2 and draw a line. Beta 1 is equal to beta 2, say same thing. And I will cut it with what are the corresponding. So VR1 is equal to VR2. So this is my VR2. So wherever it's going to cut, I will be cutting somewhere here. So wherever it's going to cut, I'll be joining that from this particular point. I'll join this. So this will be my V2. I got my V2. So beta 1 is equal to beta 2. So beta 1 is equal to beta 2. Maybe roughly around 40 degrees you may get. So graphically or theoretically. So if you go graphically also around 30, 39 degrees. And theoretically we need to find that. I'll show that. Fine. Now, so if I draw the corresponding, so I can extend this particular thing. So this will be, if I draw a vertical line from here. So this will be my VF2, and look at this particular thing. Now C2, and this is in this same direction. So this will be my VW. So VW. Now let's calculate each and everything. How can I calculate it? So from the inlet velocity triangle, let's calculate. From the inlet velocity triangle, and I know the alpha. What is the corresponding thing? I don't know the value. I know the value of V1. I don't know the value of. So what is my VW1? So if you go by cos alpha 1 is equal to your VW1 divided by V1, or I can write my VW1 is equal to V1 cos alpha 1. That is, your V1 is how much? 876 into cos 20. So that will give my VW. That will give my VW1. So similarly, sin alpha 1 is equal to your VF1 by V1, and end up with VF1 is equal to V1 sin alpha 1, that is 876 into sin 10. Okay. So if I substitute in my VF1. So if I put 876 into cos 20, I'll get my VW1. 876 into, I put it in my calculator, 876 into cos 20, I'm getting 823 meters per second. Right? Then 876 into sin 20, I'm getting around 299.61 meters per second. I got this. So now, how to find the beta? So once I need to see, once I get this particular thing, how can I get the VR1 or something? How can I get the VR1? I know the VF1. So I can use, see, this particular, we call this as X. So if I take the corresponding tan beta 1, if I take tan, same thing yesterday, whatever it is equal to your opposite, that is VF1, tan beta 1 is equal to the corresponding VF1 divided by X. Opposite by your adjacent, that is your X, or I can write tan beta 1 is equal to VF1 divided by your corresponding VW1 minus U. VW1 minus U. So beta 1 is equal to tan inverse of, so VF1 is 299.61 divided by VW1 is 823.823 minus your U is 450. You can find the corresponding beta 1. So tan inverse of 299.61 divided by 823 minus 450. So I'm getting around 38.77. 38.77, round it off to 39 degrees. Maybe graphically you may get it. Graphically you may get a similar number. Graphically, if you do it graphically, you may get around 39 or 40 degrees, maybe 1 degree variation there. Okay. Now beta 1. Now beta 1 is equal to beta 2. It's also equal to beta 2, this being an impulse turbine. So I got my solutions. So they asked only to find the corresponding thing. Either I can go with theoretical one or I can go with the graphical one. So both the ways is possible. But here, suppose if they ask you to find the corresponding work done, suppose if it's a specific work here, specific work means W bar M, in this case it is VW1 minus VW2 into U, because you can see my VW1 and VW2 are in the same direction. If you do it properly, if you do it, because I have solved this problem, I know the direction. So this is how the velocity triangle will look like. Whether you go with the, maybe roughly you may draw the velocity triangles initially and later on you change it. Or you can go with, so I prefer you people try with the graphical method and practice as much as possible. Then you can try with your theoretical trigonometry calculations. So graphical method means first you have to take up the U, which is 450 meters per second. Then from the delta H, you calculate the corresponding V1. You know the alpha 1, the previous problem, whatever we did, the similar fashion you go. Similar fashion you go on, you can solve it. Let's take one problem on what is the influence of, okay, remember, when we were discussing on the, maybe in the last class we were looking at, what is the influence of your blade ratio, that is your ratio of the blade velocity, that is to your stream velocity. What are the influence of U by V? I think they keep asking this question. So I have done it in a different way. What I do actually, I took that as a phi, that is the speed ratio. So what are they keep asking, what are the influence in a single stage turbine? Either it can be with respect to the blade efficiency or with respect to the work done. So where we have to maximize that particular thing for a given turbine, maybe with respect to a given K. K is nothing but your corresponding ratio of VR1 or VR2, whatever it may be, or your corresponding beta angles also. So if I take with respect to beta cos beta 2 or beta 2 by beta 1, or if I take the K is nothing but your ratio of your the relative velocity, exit relative velocity to inlet relative velocity. So I can call that as a CB or KB, whatever it may be, and you can take the other one as cos beta 2 by, so beta 1 and beta 2, how it so for your impulse machine you get one kind of an expression, and for a reaction machine you get different kind of expression. I think this, maybe if you look at your RRL, he has done it in a different way. And as he has done this derivation, influence of, you can make a note of it, influence of the ratio of blade velocity, stream velocity on blade efficiency and work done for a single stage turbines. It can be impulse or it can be a reaction turbines. Okay. So next thing is we have to look into the multi-stages. This is about your single stage turbines. Multi-stage steam turbine. So it can be impulse. So if I take an impulse kind of a thing, it will be a single wheel. This can be single wheel with n stages. That means a single shaft with n number of stages. Okay. So here the most important is what you have to consider is, the first thing is the velocity of the steam entering the first stage. Entering the first stage. Fine. As it is not low, it will be very high. And it comes out, see, this is nothing but we call that as V1. So the velocity with which the fluid or the steam enters the first stage is your nozzle. See, look at this. You should not consider with respect to the nozzle what goes out of the nozzle. Steam entering the first stage of rotor. That means this is the steam velocity exiting the nozzle. You have to be very careful. What is it actually? Say I have a nozzle something like this. I have a nozzle something like this. Right? This is the nozzle. The fluid will enter at some velocity and it exits at some velocity. If I call this as V1, if this is V0, it enters at some velocity V0 at the entry. This is 1, 1. And if I call this as 2, 2, it exits, and this velocity will be going and striking your rotor. This velocity is the what which is going to strike the rotor. So this is your rotor, this is your nozzle. So when you are solving this problem, you have to be very carefully. So what is the velocity with which the the steam will be striking the rotor, rather entering the nozzle. So steam comes out with a particular velocity out of the nozzle, which will be striking your plate. Okay. And what will be the corresponding kinetic energy? The corresponding kinetic energy will be your V1 square by 2. So we see a kinetic energy in the form of energy that's available. So what we try to do is actually, suppose if we, sometimes they give the nozzle efficiency. They try to give the nozzle efficiency. So the nozzle efficiency means is equal to your increase in kinetic energy to your isentropic enthalpy drop. Okay, increase in kinetic energy means, say for example, V1 square by 2 minus V2 square by 2 divided by corresponding enthalpy drop. Corresponding heat drop or enthalpy drop we try to go it. Actually, this is your nozzle efficiency. Now, what is this? This is, sorry, V naught square. Let me put as V naught square because that is the one which is entry. So V1 is the at the exit and V naught is the corresponding velocity at the, so this velocity V naught can be low. So V naught can be low and V1 is high because of acceleration. So sometimes they may give a problem something like this. They give the nozzle, the fluid enters at this particular point, it comes out of some velocity and that velocity will be striking your rotor. Okay, in that case what you have to do, you have to clearly find the V1, then you substitute that in your corresponding velocity triangles for V1, that is absolute velocity, and you have to proceed. And one more thing, in multi-staging, what I told, in multi-staging what we have is actually, we have something called as the blade efficiency. So the blade efficiency means the blade efficiency will be for first stage, the blade efficiency for a second stage and all. What we look at is, there we try to look at the gross stage efficiency. The gross efficiency means it is nothing but the overall efficiency. So first stage, one stage, second stage, third stage, all the stages combined together, we will get something called as a gross stage efficiency rather than a single stage efficiency. And maximum gross stage efficiency of any impulse turbine is always, so if I go for multi-stages, what is it actually? If I look at it, the maximum, the gross stage efficiency, we call that as the gross stage efficiency. The gross stage efficiency of any multi-stage turbine, of any multi-stage turbine is always greater than a single stage turbine. It's always greater than a single stage turbine, whatever it may be. For similar kind of a nozzle, for maybe if I want, you can put it as for a similar kind of a nozzle used for kinetic energy expert, for a similar kind of nozzle or a stator, whatever we have used it. So here optimum value of this particular pressure, so what we try to do, that we have to look in, and we have to look at the nozzle angles. See here, when I speak of the nozzle angles. See, the nozzle angle means the first stage exit nozzle angle will be your alpha. The nozzle angle means the fluid is coming out, the fluid is directed to your rotor at some angle. It means that that is your alpha. You should not be confused with your corresponding beta. Blade angles are different. So nozzle angles or flow angles. So nozzle angles and flow angles in most of the numericals. So they may give the flow is directed by the nozzle through an angle of 15 degrees or 12 degrees. It means that it is your flow angle. Okay. And here, when you are looking at, so we have to draw the corresponding stages. So corresponding stages, first stage, second stage, the velocity diagrams, and we have to look into it. So stage efficiency and your corresponding we call that as a phi. Stage efficiency versus your phi. Phi, what is the phi? Phi is nothing but your speed ratio. So if I try to, for different positions, so the most important thing here is we try to put, okay, this is your phi, if I put it as U by V1 and stage efficiency, put it. This is your stage efficiency. And if I try to plot for different alpha ones, if I try, for example, if I take alpha is equal to some 10 degrees. So if I try for 10 degrees, this is for alpha 1 is equal to 10 degrees. So if I slightly increase it to some 15 degrees, so I may get something like this. This is for alpha 1 is equal to 15 degrees. And if I go for the alpha 1 is equal to some 20 degrees. So this is alpha 1 is equal to 20 degrees. So you can see that I will be getting some peaks. So if I go for one more thing, alpha is equal to some 20 degrees. Alpha 1 is equal to 25 degrees. So don't go beyond 20-25. So roughly we may maximum we can reach around 28 or something. So as low as 10 degrees to 30 degrees. So that's it. So now if I go for this actually, what will happen? Maybe you may get some peaks. You may get some kind of a peak. You can join all these peaks like this. You can join all these peaks, and that is your. So this is if you draw a line. Okay, this is your phi, maximum phi. This is your maximum phi. This is maximum phi for that particular stage efficiencies. So you may get like this. So from alpha is equal to as low as 10 degrees or 12 degrees or 14 degrees, or it can be 20 degrees or 25 up to maximum of 28 or 30 degrees. You can't go beyond it. Okay. For all those things, if I try to plot it, so what will be the efficiency? The efficiency will increase. Say if I go with something around to the left hand side, I have the stage efficiency of some 40%, 50%, 60%, 70%, 80 degrees, 80%. That's it. Don't expect to be the stage efficiency to be 90, 95, 100%, something like that. So 50. So if I, what are the advantage of going for this multi-staging is, if I keep increasing my alpha 1, the corresponding stage efficiency also will increase, and your corresponding speed ratio also will increase. So somewhere we have to ensure that this phi has to be optimum for a given angle. So if you keep increasing u by v to a particular point, it will reach a maximum point, then it will start dropping. If I keep, if my corresponding, say pi will drop, so pi will, even though my pi is increasing after that also, but your efficiency will drop. So this is the point where you have to ensure your multi-stage steam turbines will work to the best. That is nothing but optimizing or maximizing your gross stage efficiency. And the gross stage efficiency, once again, it's the same thing. So the ratio of your corresponding work done. So that is VW1 minus VW2 into U divided by your isentropic efficiency, whatever you can do. That is your gross stage efficiency. And what happens to your gross stage? It's already we have derived the expression. So your work done is equal to V1 square into 1 plus CD into B into pi into cos alpha 1 minus pi square. We have done the derivation. So you have to look into that particular this thing. That gives your work done by the blades per kg of steel. Okay. So if you look into your R Yadav book, instead of the speed ratio phi, he has taken rho. He has taken, don't get confused with that. So phi is the speed ratio and rho is also speed ratio, what he has considered. So what we will do is actually, in the next class, already we have done the derivation, especially for the multi-staging, we will try to derive the expression for it. Derive the expression for